Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Brian. Boy, we must be in big trouble for you to be here today.
I told you.
I know, I'm all, we're also in big trouble because we have a new clerk. Catherine, welcome to CPF. Okay, and that document, you'll have that sign that you're committed to CPF for the next 12 months? 5 years, okay.
5
good.
years, wow.
Wow, that is something else.
5-year contract.
But on a serious note, welcome, okay, and anything we can help you with, okay, and because we could certainly use a lot of help, okay? I think maybe before we get started, I know Brian has come here, and he's got lots of things to do that we need him to do for us, okay? So maybe we get, Brian, you invited him for.
Get them in and out faster.
Yeah, that's it.
So do you want to do the financials first, or what do you want to do?
Sorry?
How do you want to proceed?
I'd like to proceed with Brian, okay,
Lester?
with Westnick.
That's fine.
Real quick, I talked to Sean Clark. They just released a lot of quail on the Crab Creek property.
Yep,
A lot of them made it over to that property.
okay.
And he said next season is June, July, and August. He goes, please don't run until September.
Wow, interesting.
Okay, so we don't want to mow the whole place.
We actually did, last week we did go in and mow the trail. Just because you had to be mowed.
I'd like to figure out some way that we can just deal with the mugwort. Whether it's topping it at first, because it's now about as high as this stand here and higher. I mean, it's like extreme mugwort there. I mean, in my yard, it's like this big. But if we can somehow think about.
We'll get together and again, oh my God, talk about this.
Who releases the quails again?
Clark family.
Sean
They released a
Clark.
bunch of- They released like 1,000 quail around here.
In different places of the island or just at one section?
Crab Creek, different places.
Just crab?
Yes, no, spread out a bit.
Is it at Crab Creek only? No.
No, spread out, yeah, no.
So my other question is thought is if they're going to be more coordinated when they're going to release animals in different parts of the island, just to let us know ahead of time so that we can say, please don't release them here. I mean, it sounds like they didn't and they just migrated.
So, Brian, we have the turtles in May, right? That's the problem. You know, what I'm saying is these are things that we've never really looked at before. So we have the turtles in May, and then obviously we have to be conscious of the quail releases, okay? Is that program working?
Yeah, it is, not as strong as they like. There were a lot of fatalities with the first release. And so they're trying it again. I think they'll try it a few more times before they give up or
It's
takes hold.
a really hard thing to do,
It is hard.
really hard.
And if they
It's
do
great
say
that
that
they're
there's no time release, this is just their missing time, do you know what I mean? There'll be no hope for coordinating anything, because they won't cooperate.
No. No, I understand that, but, and this is, this, I put the blame on myself about the mugwort because I was monitoring it. Anyway, there was sort of a coordination thing that we were trying to figure out with this plan. And then suddenly the mugwort started, suddenly like this high. And at that point, it's already, means, I have to walk through there, I have the mower. But now with the quail, it's like, I don't know, do they fly? Do they just walk?
No, they fly a little.
I'm wondering though if it's just this year because they were put out, maybe, because that's unusual to be the summer for them to do that. So they may start once they've been here in the spring.
So, where do we go? I mean, that's the question here. Where do we go? This is going to delay what we've been working on, needless to say.
It could. But again, if we could sort of take sections and first start by a weed whacker. You know, you just have to do an experiment. I mean, I could try to put on a Tyvek suit and poke my body in there to make sure there are no animals in there. Then if we weed whack it down to a certain point where you can actually see more of what's in there, then we could go in and start mowing sections.
That would scare them if you're weed whacking on top of them, don't you?
Huh?
Don't you think that would scare them if you're weed
Well,
whacking on
I
top?
could put on a Tyvek suit because it's full of ticks. Put my head in there and make sure that there's nothing. The thing about mugwort is it grows so close together. It's so, I find it hard to believe that any animal can actually navigate mugwort. Except the very top part, which birds, I can see birds sitting on the top parts, but
So what happens in September? We're saying this
In September, we go all out, salt on the whole place. I don't know, it all depends on what you want to do with this plan.
it was
Well-
what?
All depends on this, or where we go,
Right.
or where you want
I mean,
What the next step
the
is.
main thing that is actually just the mugwort. Can't do anything. We can go into other areas of it. I mean, I have to talk to Rusty, and I think actually Rusty needs to come and address us. Get everybody used to this.
I take it can't be pulled up.
Pardon?
I take it cannot be pulled up.
Well, I actually tried last fall, and I was able to pull out some of it. You know, when it gets a certain height, it's actually fairly easy to grab hold of it, just pull some of it
I'm
out.
just thinking of a heavy rain.
But it's also extremely time consuming. So you need like a,
When we,
You're talking about the mugwort.
yeah.
Yeah, but when you pull it out, you leave roots. You leave roots, and that grows back again.
The concern now is that the whole, when you look at the plan, you've got 3 or 4 different ways of dealing with the mugwort, but you've got to be able to have it down.
is the plan here?
Yeah.
Right.
Cover it.
Yeah, no, I know.
I bought my own, I guess.
Going back.
You want mine more, Gordon?
Oh, no, I got it
to.
right
Trying to
here.
give the mugwort,
Here it is.
yeah, September, and where we want to go, where you want to go with the plan.
The plan, we're not going to do anything with planting or anything like that until the fall anyway. So really, the mugwort is the number one issue right now.
How big would you say this area is?
How big is what?
This area? The
The mugwort?
5B?
I'm sorry, the mugwort?
Yeah.
The mugwort is probably, if you look at it, it's 5A.
Oh, I thought you said it's 5B.
Catherine, could you bring it up on the screen?
Oh, it's 5A. I thought it was 5B.
All of 5A, which is near the parking area.
Right.
And then if you go to the left, you've got number 1 there, which is called the Habitat Garden. It's in there, and it's in 5B, and it's in the number 2 area. That's the worst area, and it's encroaching into number 6, which is where the greens are.
Okay, okay.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Well, I just thought if we got a lot of volunteers to pull it up, and then, if you got a lot of volunteers to pull it up, and then you put the cardboard or whatever.
Brian, when we picked up on North Menanthic Preserve, when we did bamboo, that would look like it was pretty successful.
Yeah, we
I mean,
got the
you
machine that has
had the forks in it,
forks.
right?
We
Scraped it up.
And it just ripped everything up.
Have you seen that down there?
I have. Yeah, I know that machine.
Yeah, but is that a way of doing this?
You could, yeah.
So why wouldn't we do that in the fall?
We could. I guess the thing is, while it's sort of in a growth stage, I mean, one thing I have to talk to Rusty about is if you cover it in the fall, do you get any advantage during the winter months when it's dormant? Is there any smothering going on during that period? I mean, it is not, if it's covered with cardboard, it's still getting water, so the roots are getting water. If you cover it with plastic, then the roots are not getting water. And one of the other possibilities is steaming. I don't quite know the full concept of this, but a machine comes in and actually steams the ground.
We do that now.
Steaming?
So Walter Richards Landscaping has a machine, an environmentally friendly machine He does all our weeding at Ridge Street Park.
Uh-huh,
He just sprays it, it's a hot steam thing,
uh-huh.
and the whole length of Crescent Beach, as you can see, there is not a weed in. As well as Ridge Street Park, it's very nice now, there's no weeds anywhere. It's all because of this steam machine. It's pretty, it does a really nice job.
How big is it?
It's the back of a truck. It's a whole machine on the back of a truck that has a long hose that goes in
Oh, okay.
So it's just hot water?
hot
It's
steam.
steam.
It's not cheap.
No,
It's like, no,
yeah, no, it's not.
expensive.
But if it's a
Works very
one-time
well,
solution-
Environmentally friendly.
Is it a one-time solution or does
He does it like twice a year.
it?
But what about, I'm missing something, what about the machine that did the bamboo?
Well, you're gonna, I mean, you can do that, but you're gonna run into the same issue with the quail and the turtles. You just have to go in there.
Everything
Right, yeah.
You're actually turning up the soil
Yeah, you just have to go in
a little
there.
bit.
And that is actually a solution that Rusty has also worked with, mugwort, which is exactly that. So we have like 4 options here and he lists all of them.
Oh, okay. I maybe missed it.
So the mugwort,
Oh, I see, sorry.
so the mugwort is actually in here, it's in this whole area. This, these are the evergreens, I notice it's going in there, it might be coming in here a little bit, it's trying to creep up here. And it's all through parts of this, all through here.
But not in the back.
It's not in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you left this all alone, the entire area would become mugwort.
And if it's creeping east, I guess that would be, then that's where you have existing wild grasses that you want to keep.
Yeah, so this whole area, it may have stuff, there's something else in here called horse nettle. It's in here for a little bit, but there are a couple of invasive things in here, but it's not horrendous. And then over here, you've got some black locust and a lot of grass called broom sedge, which is native, and some other nice stuff. But again, you know, the idea is to keep all of this from moving this way. To really try to get a hold of it as soon as possible at this point.
Does he do this 2 times a year, every year?
The last couple of years, yeah.
Does it get better?
What it does, it helps my guys by not, weed whacking a 7-mile stretch. It's a lot on somebody. And there's a lot of cars around, you're kicking up pedals, you're blowing out, I don't know, 3 or 4 car windows.
Oh, jeez.
It just happens. What are you
All
gonna?
right, so steam is not a permanent solution.
What's that?
Steam is not a permanent solution.
Wait, steam pushes up the stuff?
No, it.
The weed-
Weed whacking. Weed whacking.
No, the weed whacker throws debris around.
So it seems like the steam, if we're going to plant things here, the steam is not a good idea.
No, steaming could be a good idea.
If it's not permanent.
No, I believe from what Rusty told me, one of the disadvantages is it kills everything that's in there. So if you have a seed bank, if you have other stuff, it's going to also kill that stuff. But in this case, it doesn't matter because
So mugwort.
Yeah.
the bank is
But
never.
in other words, but if we put plants in here later, we can't be steaming this.
No, but you wouldn't put the plants in until you're absolutely sure that that mugwort is manageable.
And actually, if you're gonna put native plant and stuff like that, we're gonna turn our soil anyway, correct?
Actually, you're not. For instance, if you put, let's say if we smothered a whole area with cardboard and put topsoil on top, you just plant directly into the cardboard. No, the idea is actually to not turn everything up a lot because then you're disturbing and other things can come up too.
His option number 5, it looks like you can do it with the quail, in the heat of the summer. I don't know, then it's cheap, it's the black folly, that's when you start.
Yeah, his machine may be different.
You don't do the second one, number 5, smother with the tar?
You know, we've only talked about it vaguely, but apparently there is
Hey,
a,
Jody, on here.
Right here.
it's the less, it's,
Sheet 3.
Number,
it's this last page on the staple. I mean, he's just explained to me that they put a big tarp and then this machine goes under the tarp and it heats the soil to,
No, that's number 6. Number 5.
I'm sorry,
that's
number
the
6.
tarp. I mean, I just think it's the simplest and the,
yeah, but the problem is,
July.
you've got, in order to do any of this, you've got to bring the mugwort right down to soil level.
oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't just put stuff on top of the mugwort.
Well, if mugwort is that thick where you don't think anything can get through it, we could just probably just try and get through it, walking, see what's there, and mow it. And then put our stuff down.
Yeah, I mean, I
I'd
could,
like to mow at some point.
I mean,
Fall.
September.
it'd be great if we could, I mean, the problem is it also, it'd be great if we could do something sooner.
Well, it says for a long period of time. It says to secure the tarp with pins to hold it in place for a long period of time. I thought we were going to put the tarp down and then you put mulch over it.
Here it says, actually, you cover the tarp
For a
for a
week.
long period of time, heavy algae, blah, blah, blah.
Hottest
In place
months.
For several weeks. This should be done during the hottest months of the year.
Okay,
That's the other thing, the heat, that's what it is, the heat, it heats the soil. So you're not gonna get that in the wintertime.
Do you want to like maybe schedule something the end of August, 4 or 5 people with weed whackers and?
Well, I mean, Brian's just suggested, and I did this last year when we mowed. When I put on a Tyvek suit, and I went, because I talked to the turtle people, and they said, get a big stick
Right.
and just, separate the stuff and just check out the stuff before the mower comes through. And that's what we did. I didn't see any turtles. We were able to mow. I don't know. And again, I just find it hard to believe that animals can go into the mugwort attractions.
all you need is one picture of it, Dick.
I know.
Where did the quail go in the winter?
That's going to.
They're still active.
So they'll still be in there. So it's not just,
They'll be running around, I know that.
But they won't be nesting.
but with the noise and that, you can clear it. So can we get like a calendar of like when we're gonna start something here? I mean, otherwise it seems like we're locked.
But this is the,
Well, let me talk to a quail person. And I know the Clarks are doing this, but they're also people, I think they got them from a group in the North Fork where they sell quail for rewilding, but also to eat. I just want to know more about the habits of quail.
The last ones came from New Jersey, I think.
Okay, well, I can easily go online and find people who do this and find out more about the habits of quail.
But in the meantime, you and I can go down,
Yes,
try and walk through it, see what's there,
yes,
see what the bucket this stuff is together.
yes.
And like you say, if the stuff is so close together, nothing can, it can't have a habitat of any type there.
No,
And I think it's at our window that's due to mow it.
Now,
Yeah.
I would like to do it sooner than later.
because if you want to get the hot, it's now.
Yes. Yes.
Let's leave off this way. So you're gonna talk to them, but how do we get this done? That's the question now.
Well-
We need to should we get a group of people to walk the property? And what's the earliest we could do this?
Whatever you want.
If we can do
Yeah,
You have to get the tarps,
you
right?
have to find out, have they started nesting?
it, we can.
Don't
do
even
it
know
as
that.
soon as we want to do it.
I'm sorry?
We can do it as soon as we.
If they're not there, then it's safe to mow it,
Yes.
period.
I also, we
Even
also,
if you,
we also have to check for the turtles.
okay.
Yeah, all,
So we'll hit two birds with one stone.
Let's do it.
We'll check for two birds with one stone. yeah.
Could we do this next week?
we could,
Okay, can we,
that's next week. Well,
17th.
yeah, I just have to, I'm in the play and, we do performances next week. So
don't we have to
I can do it.
don't we have to get our priorities in order here, like,
Well, I have lots of problems, unfortunately.
how
Fortunately
about
for
the
Shelter
following?
Island.
It's this coming week, right? So how about the following week?
Yeah, I could do it the week of the 23rd, the 24th. But Brian and I can certainly go in there first. I mean, the thing is, we're not going to get you have to be careful about getting volunteers to help us because there are a lot of ticks in there. I mean, I've walked in there and the Lone Star ticks were like jumping on me. So it's not something you just want to casually have people come in and help us. And I wear a Tyvek suit, so it also depends if it's really, really hot. It's hard to read. Anyway, Brian and I will confer about it.
The week of the 25th.
Brian and I will actually do an experimental walk before then.
Okay.
So you're talking about the week of the 24th, you said?
Yeah, but Brian and I can do it before then. We can start.
It doesn't look like we're going to get any, oh, wait, go ahead.
No, we'll start, Brian and I will meet, and we'll just go there and see, take a whole section and see what it looks like. And maybe we can start sooner, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do it in stages anyway, because it really requires walking through there. In the meantime, I will learn more about quail habits. See where they like to nest. And maybe there's a whole thing, maybe people know that mugwort is on a good spot, or maybe they'll say, oh, I love mugwort.
And they're also at Crab Creek.
Yes.
Yes, they released a bunch of Crab Creek property.
So we will proceed.
Okay. What else do you have on this?
That's it. There's no point in walking through the whole thing right now. You should all read it.
It's very comprehensive, it's great.
It is. I just have some tweaks, some questions about some of the species that they want to put in for the demonstration gardens, for the meadow, or other plant. There's some other additional plants I would like to see in the meadow. There's some plants in the demonstration gardens that I think are a little too deer friendly. So this is simple stuff.
Great, good.
Thanks, Tim.
This is wonderful.
Brian,
Yes,
since you're
thank you.
here, what other items do you have on your agenda?
Nothing, I just wanted to see the actual plan and, what's next? No, everything else is looking pretty good, I think. We've been in mowing.
And just maybe everybody, since you're here, I was going to bring it up, but the Dickinson Creek, the Dick Moore Memorial, okay, bench was taken away from the property, okay, because and they're pouring a concrete slab with a stone base on it, okay, so they can anchor down the bench that was made by the school, okay, so you're working on that currently.
Yeah, if we don't anchor it down, it'll just be the picnic table underneath the gazebo at Wade Beach, constantly getting unscrewed and moved.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be hard to do.
They just love moving everything.
And the other thing is, Rusty was on vacation, he's back today. So I will talk to him today or tomorrow and discuss the mugwort, sort of what steps he wants to proceed, how he wants to proceed. I'm assuming the mugwort's the first big thing. Plus monitoring anything else that's invasive in there. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to encourage him to do a field trip. It's out here.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Other than that, I think all the other properties are in pretty good shape. I've got a couple of things I gotta do that I haven't done yet, but
maybe there is one thing that since you're here, we can talk about, okay? And we're going to bring it up later on, but maybe this is the time, okay, since you're here. Which has to deal with St. Gabe's Annex, okay, over on Burns Road. You're mowing that, correct? Have you been mowing it there's an activity that's taking place there now. Are you doing the mowing there now? So I think that's basically it, okay? I just wanted to ask, okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, thank you.
thank you.
So we'll talk.
Okay, yeah, give me a shower.
Okay.
Let's continue with the meeting, okay? The minutes, everybody has seen the minutes. The only thing that I think you should add, okay, is it CPF, no CPF executive session meeting was called. That's incorrect. We did have an executive meeting at our last meeting in June.
We did?
I don't think so.
No?
No.
Okay.
In fact, you commented that it was the first time we hadn't had one.
Yeah, okay.
Short meeting.
With that in place, okay, any questions with what has been drafted up here? If not,
Motion to,
Second. All right.
Aye.
okay. Financial reports. Okay.
Turn it up.
This is a little hard to read, okay? You might want to put it up on the screen. This is June 30th, okay? The Chase account is our working account, okay? The opening balance, okay, was $2,122,672. The check this month, okay, was $141,620.44. That's the transfer tax, the 2%. The interest is shown as $3,372. The expenses,
572.
572, okay? The expenses were, the month were 15,000, and there was a payroll expense there of 2,342,754, which leave the closing balance of 2,250,523.4. The New York Class account is where it's a high yield account. We have an opening balance of $9,722,404.44. The interest, okay, on that account is $39,148.65. The closing amount of that account, okay, is $9,761,553.09. And the bottom, this was a spreadsheet that was developed a while ago, but hopefully we will be getting away from this. You can see the WQI expenses. This is what's been allocated to WQI. It's the 15,000. There was a payroll portion there, and that total amount was 16,769.40. Okay, so the closing cash balance, okay, was 12,076.53, okay? What we're missing here is we're missing, and maybe I should just pass this out, I didn't know I was here, is what we really need to look at is, I guess, let me just pass this out, because this is really, I haven't been preparing these. Okay.
Same thing as this,
Well, it's basically,
With an addition.
it's basically the same thing, but
the available.
yeah, I'm always concerned about what is available.
Right.
Okay? And it also gives us an indication, okay, of where we are year to date. So yep. It's just the year to date. So you can see where our revenue is at this time, the year to date for 2023, and where we were last year and the prior years. Okay.
So Gordon, wait, the 22, 21 revenue, those are the year-to-date at the time, or is that total for the year?
The 22 is year-to-date. No, the 22 is done.
It's the year.
Right, okay, no, I didn't know if, okay. I'm just curious,
Right.
where we were at the same time.
So all we've done since the inception of WQIP is basically, since we wanted to make sure that we knew what our cash balances were for acquisition, we always put WQIP, and we did that deduction. You can see it there from 2016, okay, to currently the 2023, which is year-to-date.
Is that because we haven't had any acquisitions?
No, this is WQIP.
I'm looking at the top, Gordon, I'm sorry.
The top is really the amount of transfer tax that we received, the total check that we received for the year.
Oh,
It's right here, when you look at the 2% checks, if you look at this, you'll see.
Okay. So the idea was that we would see what they were spending, what they were spending, okay? So again, what we're showing is our expenses for WQIP. Well, it's not really showing that, it's showing, it shows you really the balance. So we started out with the WQIP to date had $3,679,388, okay? At this particular moment, they have only spent a portion of that, which was $617,000. So we're basically encumbering, or at this moment, we're deducting from our cash balances $3,062,376. And again, this form that I put together here shows you that when we have 12 million in the bank, we have to deduct this 3 million from our cash balance. So really, we only have available, not only, but our cash balance for acquisition purposes for CPF is $8,949,699.67. Okay, I think that's probably the piece that's important to us, okay?
WQI then has 3 million now?
Well, we're allocating 3 million out of our CPF fund because that's the 20% legislation that took place on 2016. Okay, what
So
their
they have a
balance,
lot of money.
what their balances are, I don't want to get into that, okay? So,
Is this number, this number here,
the transfer tax,
yeah, so is that up to June 30th?
that's up to June 30th,
Because
yes.
I added all these up and I come up with 1,172,000.
No, because what happens at the beginning months, that's why this other sheet that was printed, this one here, basically shows you the allocation because they're 60 to 90 days behind. So these are the amounts that were allocated for this year.
Okay. 49. Doesn't include April, May, June.
Right. That's exactly what it is, okay?
Ask you a question. Do you have a sheet like this for the Community Preservation Fund, what the actual expenses were year to year? Like, where do I find that in here?
Where do you find that in here?
Yeah, like in the blue, it says what the WQIP.
That's, okay, we,
Do you do a report like that? I'm just asking. I'm not.
no, we have, if you go, you would have to add up the spreadsheet across from our allocate, which says expenses
Okay.
there, you'd have to do that, but
Okay.
what we're hoping and what we want to do, and you bring up a good point, Julia, because we were really hoping to separate it, and now we're always looking to find at our meetings, okay, what did we spend to date on specific property? Like we allocated in the budget, I think it was 100,000, okay, so where are we with that 100,000? So we're hoping that once we get that, our report will show, and we'll be able to closely monitor and be able to see what we spent on legal fees, what we spent on maintenance of property, whatever, whether it's copy machines or whatever, this way we'll have a clear understanding. But right now, all we have is a lump number. It is available through the town, because they have the breakdowns, okay? We don't break it down that way.
But you'd like to see it that way. It's
That's the way we want to see it, yes.
thanks, I understand. Thank you.
Gordon, just quickly too, on this available cash, $1 million of that's committed because we haven't closed yet.
Say it again?
On the available cash, CPF, $8,950,000. $1 million of that is committed to a contract that we haven't closed on yet.
No, it's not 1 million, it's 500,000. Okay, so that's exactly.
But it's, that's,
So that's the reason why I want the QuickBooks, because this way at the end of the year, at end of the month, we know, here, we hired Nelson Pope. The contract was X number of dollars, so it's an account, it's a payable that we are not showing. So we have monies that are due against this. So that's the reason why I'm anxious to get that. This way we know what we paid towards it. And it just gives you a good idea of where we are with the money, okay? And then the other part is in executive session, we talk about our acquisition process and what we're working with. So really, what happens is it gives you an idea, like if you have 9 million, when we talk about acquisitions, we know what monies we have that we can spend and what way it is. But we just need to have a better accounting, okay?
So when is the separation going to be implemented?
I don't know, every month.
I know, I thought it was going to be,
We started in October of last year, okay? And obviously, there were things that held things up, okay? And we were trying to get into place in January, but obviously, there's been some things. So listen,
We're waiting for the.
we're just waiting, and obviously, there's an audit that's due, okay, that we should have very shortly, which will
for the open.
which will spell it out, okay, this way the balances are
Yep.
allocated, but once we get past this point, it should be really clear. And I think every committee, whether it's WQIP or Affordable Housing or CPF, they should have a financial report. I mean, that's how I would look at it. All I'm looking to do is to see, like, when I was looking at this, and I looked at all the expenses, I looked at these, from 2018 to 2023. I couldn't allocate in my head where the money was that was allocated to Fresh Pond and some of those things.
Right.
They're obviously not here, okay? And likewise, I think WQIP, if they have they know what they've made commitments to, whether it be the oyster thing that you did.
Right.
And so I think each and every committee should have that, okay? So
So we're waiting for the town to separate
we're
this,
waiting for the auditor.
or the auditor will do it?
Because you need opening balance.
Then we know what we can move.
Right.
Right, you need opening balances.
So with that in mind, if there are no questions, can I get a motion to accept?
Second.
So be it, okay?
Gordon, if you just want me to give a quick update, so
Yeah.
WQI and CPF bought a QuickBooks system, which has been imported with all of the properties as classes, and every expense has been entered since January. We cannot break down the income versus the expenses until we get the final audit, which was done 3 weeks ago, and once we get those numbers in the next couple of weeks, we start with that balance.
Right.
So that's what we're waiting for, but moving forward, everything since January has been put in. If Tim, or Brian sends me a bill for Menantic Creek, I post it under that account.
Right, this way, everybody, even with them,
Thank you.
it's broken down into all the different
Properties.
areas. So this way you have a real handle in terms of what have we been spending on a particular property,
Right.
okay?
Acquisition plan.
The acquisition plan. Acquisition plan, what I would just like to just a little bit about is obviously CPF, up until 2016 was pretty clear in terms of funding. It was 4%, you had a balance and so forth, okay? when I'm looking at the acquisition plan, what occurred to me is, and it's just the thought process, and again, we're an advisory committee, so it just seems to me that even with the revision of the acquisition plan, we now have WQIP in here for the first time in the acquisition plan. But the whole I don't know whether, I guess what I'm saying is that it seems to me that the acquisition plan should be, we have WQIP in it, and eventually there'll be affordable housing.
No,
No,
no, I don't think so.
okay, but they'll be reporting, like that check will be broken up. So our reporting that we have when we do CPF will show how much money went into affordable housing.
The difference between the two, in my mind, is that CPF and WQI is a two-way street.
Sorry?
CPF and WQI, the money is a two-way street. But CPF and housing, the money is a one-way street.
Right.
So that's why housing won't be included in the acquisition plan.
No, that's what I'm getting at, okay, is that CPF really, what WQIP does really has no impact on CPF.
It does.
Oh, it does in terms of it has the ability of going back and forth.
Correct.
But, okay, we've encumbered the money to WQIP. We have no say in how WQIP spends their money. So,
But this is supposed to be part of the acquisition plan, so I put it in there.
well, I'm bringing it up just as a point. What occurred to me is that I think there's like 3 separate items here, okay? And if when we get a check, hopefully next month, and it's $100,000, there'll be, I think our reporting from CPF should show WQIP gets this amount of money, affordable housing gets that amount of money, and CPF has that amount of money.
But in terms
And
of Yeah, go ahead.
and likewise, I think that it would be good to have, as we do our financial reports and we know where we are, what we've spent, what our balances are, I think that all the other 2 remaining committees should have that exact same thing.
Certainly, and I think they do that to a certain extent. Community housing, not yet though, because they really don't have what to do with, yet. There's no money there. But I'm sure that they'll attract their funds. Absolutely. Now, in terms of the acquisition plan, I don't know where the housing would fit into this. I don't think it should. Oh, I thought that's what you started out, we were talking about.
Financial oversight.
I'm talking about the financial
Oh,
part.
okay, sorry.
Okay, the financial part is that, like in here, we have WQIP of what their prerogatives are, wastewater treatment and all the rest of this stuff. We've never had that before. And I don't know, I guess I'm just talking out loud. It just seems to me that they're both the same, but there are things that are different, okay? And I'm just suggesting, okay, that the financial reporting should be done with all 3 entities, okay? So that I throw a number out here, I don't know whether this is correct or not.
At what level do you want this reporting done? Because WQI certainly talks about their money when they're talking about changing the allocation. That's what's going on now. So what do we have? What do we expect for the future in terms of cash flows? That happens. So where do you want to report?
Well,
You want to report at the town board level or at this
Well,
level?
here, at CPF, we do a financial report, correct? Do you do a CPF, do you do a WQI?
They have a discussion about the finances at the meeting.
And what we're trying to do is to be transparent about what we are spending our money on. I'm just asking the question, okay, do you do the same thing?
We have a discussion. It's different.
Okay, but I'm, okay. So anyhow, I'm just looking,
People know what they're at, they know what the balances are, they make recommendations to the town board, WQI does based on that information. What's encumbered,
but even with affordable housing, this is a good time to get those things in
I
place.
know, I'm just not sure why we're talking about that here, but yeah, I think that they will. I mean, I just do,
Well, I'm only
will.
talking about it only because it's in the acquisition plan.
Yeah, not the housing. so
Not
much.
the housing, but
Right.
you're talking about the legislation that's in place for CPF. Okay, just like WQIP, their project list is in here, which is the first time we've ever had that. Okay, and
Because this is the first acquisition plan done since WQI was adopted. So
Okay.
it makes sense that it would be in here, no?
Yeah, I know it should be in there. I'm not saying anything different, okay? I'm just saying to you that it's just a, whatever. Whatever. And hopefully we can get this done, okay? Getting into the, I struggled a little bit, maybe it was me, that I had all my papers wrong, but the numbering of the pages still confused me. Okay, I still couldn't,
I numbered until the appendix, but I'm not that clerically inclined. So there are gonna be some hiccups in the giddy up here. Because I did this, and so, yeah, you get my level of
all
skill.
right, no, I just, that
So
last
I
time,
figured it out until the appendix, and then after
Need
that,
it
that's what I thought.
until you, the final.
Now-
Then you say appendix 1, appendix 2.
Right, and we download it, if you download it, you get to see the numbers. I think if you view it, online, you don't get to see the numbers. That's what I think. But I'm not that up to speed.
no,
It's numbered online.
Oh, it is, that too? Oh, good.
it's numbered on one up until a certain point,
Up till
and then
the
the numbers,
up to the
and then it
appendixes.
gets, so when you want to talk about what page you want to go to, it becomes a little more difficult, but that's okay.
No, you just say appendix A, page 2, or something, until it's finished.
Well, I have it in front of me, but I don't, whatever.
Do you have the most recent update? Because,
Yes.
okay, all right.
So this, just to review where we left off, okay, with this. Let's see, does anybody have anything they want to add here, rather than me doing
Not
this?
since I gave you stuff.
Okay, so some of the things that, the conversation on, what page is this now? On the well issue, is that open for discussion, or is that something that's left with?
We said last time that that's the way the town board, I think, would like to go. What I think should happen is a discussion at the town board work session about these few little points that there might be some disagreement between the committee and the town board.
In
How
which,
does that sound? Good, right?
good, I don't, so.
To have a discussion.
So the well fields, okay, that we talk about here, is that a thing that belongs to CPF or WQIP?
Well, that is a really good point.
Right,
Yeah, I think in CPF, but that's just, we should talk about that. We really need that super group.
I'm sorry?
We really need the super group, Fred Field group, to battle some of this out. But
Well-
I'm just saying, I think that that's a really good point for discussion. I think
Right.
the document might be good enough to have this wholesome discussion at town board level.
Well, the reason I bring that up is that it just seems that acquisition, recharge, and then extraction with wells, it would seem that it would be more in a category of WQIP than in CPF.
From what I understand, WQI can't be used to provide water unless, I think this is what I understand, there is a certain amount of chemical pollution, but not nitrates, for instance, just PFAS. That's what happened in Quag, I think. They were able to establish a water system using WQI monies in Quag because they had PFAS contamination. Now, in Shelter Island, I think we've been told that we couldn't do a water system to help our nitrate problem in the center. We couldn't use WQI for that. So what I'm trying to say is it's so restricted in terms of WQI funds and water supply that maybe it does belong in CPF. But you see how gray this is?
Well, right, it's got a long, I mean, but WQIP money, wasn't that something that was being considered for wastewater treatment?
Wastewater is different than
Right,
potable
different than-
water, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well field is different. Yeah.
But doesn't it affect, future acquisitions if we're looking for specific properties to provide water? That's a
So it brings up that, I think, what BJ is talking about, that's why this group needs to be put together to see how these things fit and get some opinions, okay, because one is recharge and the other one is taking water out. So it seems to be in conflict with each
I
other.
have trouble reconciling that.
Right.
Why do you recharge if you're not gonna use it? That's my basic misunderstanding.
Well, you are using it, you're using it for the rest of the.
Other
of the
areas
island, for
that are-
other residents in the island. You're making,
Oh, so.
So the wells-
Entitled to the recharge? No, I'm just kidding.
the wells that are in that area, okay, they're getting the benefit of the recharge. But if you're buying the property, take West Neck property, for example, and you had a well there, okay,
People who were using the water, with wells on their own property, but that water is not really very good right there. I'm just thinking, just go down Bootlegger, right?
right?
So they're drawing water from the same aquifer, it's just theirs happen to be within the saltwater interface, right? So they're salted. But up at West Neck Preserve, it might not be. How does, they're still pulling water from.
Yeah, they're pulling water, but it's not like if you're having a well, what are we talking about? Are we talking about Suffolk County water? Are we talking about municipal wells? Where is that water being distributed? Is that the intent and the goal of preservation? I guess that's really what I'm
The
asking.
other problem is, how will it affect people's wells around that area, you know? That's why I have trouble reconciling recharge and withdrawal. And I don't think they have an answer to that. In other words, how it will affect my well if you start taking from Crab Creek.
So the,
There's a lot to be figured out.
I mean, there's a lot more to it, but anyhow, just to continue with the acquisition plan, when I guess I'm going to go back and I guess this, I'm not looking to bring up old stories here, but I guess I'm bringing it up because I think I'm concerned about definitions, okay? I'm concerned about community character definitions, okay? And I guess it goes back to, I don't know, I don't know. And when I look at how we talked about community character and I look at the definition of community character, and I look at 64E, there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect there, okay? And and it has to deal with it has to deal with we're dealing with Clinowickis, okay? And again, I don't want to go there again, but what I really would like to see is a better definition of what community character means, okay? And because when we got into this, we dealt with Clinowickis being for the good of community character, and it spelled it out in 64E, which I have here, okay? And that was used as a basis of using a preserved land, okay? I felt that maybe we should really start to define, it's like a bedroom. What is a bedroom? Okay. What is community character? Okay. And I was wondering whether we could spell out what community character is in our acquisition plan.
Okay.
No.
We would like to move this along, so if we could, the town board get this done, get this approved. So if we could get that community character definition included in this in the next few weeks, that'd be great.
Right, but it's in conflict with 64E, or the way we've interpreted 64E.
Well, what would be your definition?
Yeah, what would you?
Because we have all of the different
Well, we have the definition, but.
subsets of what community character is.
Right. Well, it's.
Includes.
The definitions are there. And again, it's above my pay grade, right, this particular time. I think that we just need to have a definition, I think, because how do we
If you
avoid?
want one, I think you should come up with one, I do.
Okay,
But that, somebody has to generate it for it to be a discussion.
well,
This is so vague.
but as a board, you've generated interpretation of 64E, correct?
I'm not sure what your point is.
Isn't that part of the legislation?
Yeah, because what we did is we interpreted community character as the ability to put wastewater on a property because it was for the overall benefit of the whole community. Okay, so I'm challenging that characterization, that that definition of how to use, that's community character. It seems out of place,
You're saying for the common good.
right?
All right, we can come up with something, I'm sure.
Would you work on it?
Okay.
That's your fault for saying that.
My big mouth shut. Okay, I'll look.
I think I did.
I do have another question, though.
Yeah.
You and I had to talk about this, and Gordon and I had to talk about this, and there's been a lot of discussion about this concept of a new or an updated hydrological study.
That would be
Does
great.
that go in the acquisition plan, or does that go in the comprehensive plan?
Comprehensive plan, but it doesn't. The comprehensive plan, actually, I think the feeling at that is that we have enough hydrologic studies, 2014, 2020,
Okay.
plus what was just done for the wastewater, which
Right.
gave us a whole bunch of new
Yeah.
information. So I'm not sure that there's agreement that a complete new, spend more money thing is necessary.
No,
You know?
I'm okay with that, too. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that, that it would belong here.
Okay.
Because to Tim's point, when you acquire properties and you're thinking about a property for a possible well, I don't know, besides sort of test for, the things that we're gonna do now in St. James Woods that
Right,
provide
right,
Suffolk County
yeah,
water.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how you go about it.
Okay.
Is it possible that perhaps this whole issue of community character should be, since we are doing a comprehensive plan, should be, we may have it, it's like you have legislation that is, you have one definition here and a different definition here. Or should this be really part of the comprehensive plan?
Comprehensive plan doesn't deal with
Community character.
in that sense. It more deals with a sense of place, which is, I think, a little different, although don't ask me to define how I think it's different.
I thought there is mention of community character.
Like a sense of place is, I think, how we're phrasing it there.
That's equally vague, too.
Very big. I mean, and I think there's this tug of war between needing flexibility because you can't foresee the future so perfectly, and wanting some definitions that don't leave the barn door open.
Right.
Right.
It's a
tug of
it's a
war, and
dynamic tension.
it's not so obvious how to solve it.
Right.
Actually, I think the state has a definition.
What's that?
I think the state has a guidance for CPF plans and open space, and I think there's a definition in there for community character.
Well, there is a definition of community character, but in 64E, what was used, in the debate was community character was basically for the whole island. It was used in a different context.
for the
okay?
common
But,
good.
I know that we have a meeting and people
Yes.
have to leave in a short time. The other thing that I would, wanted to talk about, which is passive recreation. Okay, and the reason I'm bringing up passive recreation, has to deal with, I was not aware of this, and I'm bringing it up now. I didn't know that the town approved archery on St. Gabe's Annex. Okay, and I just thought that when I did look at, this is not about archery in general, it's basically in terms of what usage can you use preserved land for? We've dealt with this for many months, of how we're going to explore, whether it's, whatever the usages are, whether it's TDRs or whatever it is. And when I got into this, with the passive use and the archery, I was sort of taken back that this was not mentioned at our last meeting, and I didn't know that what was going on at that location,
I
and,
don't remember approving it
okay?
at the town board level. I don't know how that decision got made. Maybe the fire department gave them permission.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I was there a couple days ago to check the trees, and I had a chat with one of the neighbors across the street about it.
They're not happy.
Well, it's not a question of being happy, it's a question of that, it obviously was a town-sanctioned program,
It's obvious that, though.
Well, because it was said to me that it was town sanctioned,
Oh, maybe I wasn't at the meeting.
okay? And I guess I was thinking,
No, who said it to you? Julie.
well, the people, yes, who were handling the program. I don't want to get
Like
into.
I said, I wonder if it was not, they got permission from the fire department and no one thought to ask us. I don't know.
Well,
Isn't that half owned by the fire department, or isn't that
No.
like a joint, oh, it's not, okay.
no, it's not owned.
They bought all this.
Basically, the permitting process is they allow the fire department, it's in the acquisition and use it, okay?
Oh, okay.
Okay, and if someone wants to use it like the car show, they file for a permit, okay? In this case, okay, you know, the cars, we have a show, cars are gone. Here, we have a month-long program.
Let me go ask the town clerk.
I wonder if it was
Well-
the
Deer
recreation.
and recreation.
I think it's the recreation.
Just deer and tick and recreation, come on.
Yeah. You know, that plan.
The what?
It's like a deer and tick / recreation department.
Deer
Okay.
and tick / recreation. That's
For archery?
Well,
odd. That's
because-
odd.
Well, no, it's not, because the point is to teach people how to.
Shoot deer.
to-
Ah, got it.
It's a bow hunting.
It's a combination of,
And Julia's on both of those.
and it is, recreation is obviously people.
And these things,
Recreational.
and these things are all okay, if.
And what's the difference if they're for, it's still to me, it's still a passive use.
I think,
And it's a month, it's not.
I think we want to
Yeah,
know,
it's not, and it's not equipment that's bolted into the ground.
it's about the process.
Well, there's two different things. One, we have a current issue that nobody knows who allowed this and,
Right.
and whether or not CPF should have known. That's one issue. That's different than the definition of what is passive recreation. One is procedural, who cares? Okay, that's one issue. And apparently, nobody knows how it
The
happened.
clerk isn't in, so I can't.
It's happened, regardless, it's happening. And then, so the second question is, what is passive use? To me, it's a passive use. I mean, it's,
Well, okay, that's probably, and the next thing is what is, again, the definition of what's passive, but then again, maybe some of these acquisitions should really spell out, because in the acquisition plan, it talks about passive use. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because as time goes on, we have more changes in what properties can be used for. For example, okay, we have someone now that goes into town lands and CPF lands with children to teach them about nature.
it's a great thing, isn't it?
Well, but again, it's what I think that this is like we're moving. And that's what I was saying at that particular
But
time.
5 years ago, or however long I've been on this committee, when we first started, basically you couldn't access most of the property.
Correct.
So we've opened the properties so people can use them, and now people are saying, well, I have this property now.
The
let's
concern
run a
that I have, you recall, even on St. Gabe's, okay, there were some folks that wanted to use it for soccer,
Right.
because there was no program in the school. So I don't know, like even with archery was always a school program. Okay, I don't know what's changed in schools at one time had rifle ranges, they had all that stuff. So I don't know whether, and what happened as a result of that soccer moment, okay, was that the school picked it up and they went with it. I don't know whether the school was involved with this, but what I'm saying is we're going to have more and more people looking to do things. And once you make an exceptions, okay, it'll be open to more, we'll have more of this, okay? And I think it's just,
Is that a bad thing?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think the point
not a
is.
bad thing.
I think the point is, we better have a better concept when the next person comes up and says, we want to have a fundraiser softball game. So I think we have to, and if we say no, we have to have a good reason for saying no. So I think you really have to have a concept of wear and tear. A whole month, other people can't walk around while arrows are going by.
Well, they only do it on Saturday and Sunday.
All right, Saturday and Sunday for whole months, you can't walk that property, obviously. And then we have all those months of hunting season, so you can't walk through those properties then. So I kind of agree with Gordon that we better have a reason to say no to, like, we had a big discussion about whether we should let this, it was a commercial use
yes.
of the property, taking the kids through. So we all kind of, well, they're walking through, they're not, there's no activity there. And that I was all for, but, and I'm not against the archery program either. But it's just, I think it's creeping, and then we better have a better idea of what we mean by passive use.
So who will do that?
I don't know, Kathleen.
I'm not doing it because I think the more choose, the better, frankly, so.
Well,
But I think-
it goes back to this whole issue, is that, like, we've had dirt bikes in Herd.
Yeah.
Okay, we stopped that, and that's an activity, and the people bicycling. Now, Neshamik lets people jog, I mean, and that's okay, as long as everybody's clear in terms of, but it's kind of weird that we don't know what is being used, okay? When property is being used, we should, somebody
That's
should know.
different than that's different
I
than
think-
the definition of passive use.
Yes,
Right.
there's two different issues here.
Right.
One is knowing that it's being used,
Yes.
and the other is, and that's a communication between who,
I'm going to guess it's the Recreation Committee, because all of the equipment is now in the youth center. So I think it came out of their budget. if they
And now
have-
we have signage to the left, it's,
They got a grant, by the way.
They got a grant. Oh, okay.
It was all paid for.
so, when we have people come in, the kids come in, they learn something, everything's left, but now stuff is left behind, okay? I mean, there's signage there that's there on the field, okay? Target practices are there, okay? So, I mean, if this is okay, then it's okay, I don't know who approved it and what it's all of a sudden it's there, okay? And I guess that's
well,
what,
that's one issue.
Right.
That's one issue. The other issue is defining it.
right, the process.
So you have to separate out the.
Cars allowed to drive over, I mean, if you went to the facility, obviously, I don't know what the parameters were of the usage, meaning cars park on the street and they walk across the field. There's different things that go on here, okay? And I think, I just think it has more clearly activated,
I think,
Passive use would have no gas-powered anything on it.
That's a good idea.
yeah, but then,
Well, like a car show would be.
then you have the car show.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Joe.
and that,
They use diesel.
and even,
And then when they have if they ever have the chicken barbecue again, they drive the trucks there to move all the.
For more than one
Exactly.
day.
Why can't we
Well,
just,
that's why it's impossible to.
anything that comes up, have it come before this committee and we approve it?
But we can't, we don't
it's not
have the power.
about, it's not about approving,
Power to do
we don't
that.
have the power to approve, but we do have, our group is supposed to be an advisory group. So all we're asking is to let us help with the advisory portion of doing things. I think that's really what we're asking.
I think you could actually do this and define different things for different properties. CPA you have the barbecue, you have the car, if you have stuff like that. But you have other preserves where you wouldn't have any of those things.
Correct.
So I think you really.
That was part of the stewardship plan incorporated that in
Yes.
to begin with. There was a whole permitting process for the cars.
Yes.
Bidding process, okay. But I think, this is the
So
second
it-
time we've brought something up with different usage of CPF property. I just think it's something that we should be cautious of, that's all.
Cautious of.
But you've answered your question in that it should probably be in the stewardship plan, if it's for passive use only, in quotes, or if it can be used for other
Well, it
recreational.
does say passive use, but I think we need to maybe in our acquisition plan define what passive is.
Right.
Okay,
But it's-
archery is really, when I look at the definition of archery, it is not passive. And it's not about whether you're for it or against it, and I'm neither way. I'm just more concerned about the process, okay, of how these things, where they lead later on. Okay, but anyhow,
It's like biking versus, walking.
sorry?
Biking versus walking.
Right.
Can you bike in Mildred Herd?
No. Sorry?
Can you bike in Mildred Herd? Can you ride a dirt, not a dirt bike,
I think it specifically spells out no motorized vehicles.
no, bicycle?
It doesn't say no.
Okay.
You can't do it in Neshamik
It
or
doesn't.
jog.
Or something.
It doesn't say no, so I guess that's the point I'm getting at, okay, is that
Oh, it is?
we have to clarify and each property is different, but I think the whole legislation, the 64E is really loose. I mean, you know that and everybody's.
Yeah.
So, but anyhow, I don't want to spend any more
So
time with
whatever
that.
comments you want to do or definitions, this is a Word document. Turn on comments, you make, you comment where you think the definition or whatever should go, and that's how we should move forward.
And there should be an end date, when it has to be done
To me,
by.
the end date is, I was just looking at the calendar for August, the work session on August 29th would be a good target.
For that, but you want to see it ahead of time.
Yeah,
So
a little bit,
the
but there you go.
20th, that's it.
I mean, because I'm not gonna do very much. I think we're getting down to nitty gritty here where these are not discussions just among us. We
No.
need to have them at the town board level.
Right.
And come to a conclusion about what this document's gonna look like when we pass it. And, a long time that we've been chatting.
Okay, those were the big issues. There were some other things here that, there was one section on page, I think it was 3, okay, it says that CPF should be, it says agency, and the suggestion was to make it in its adversary role, CPF. Page 3, that's the problem.
Is
I
that
have
right?
page 3, it's actually, it's numbered, it says here, footer, page 3.
Bring mine with me.
But it doesn't say
Agency, it says agency.
As opposed to, what should it say?
Advisory.
Page 3 includes A through O, the actual legislation.
Hold on a second, let me just see where this is now. It's actually on page 5, hold on a second. Page 5 here is,
Oh, page 5?
Under intentions.
here it is right here. It's on page 5, the page 5, it's numbered here. I don't know what this is a Word document. It says, "The town board intends to continue to utilize the CPF as its agency for pursuing the town's longstanding conservation priorities." The suggestion was made, that should be changed to in its advisory role. Because are we an agency?
Yeah, you kind of are, because
Agency gives us more power.
You do the negotiation, you do the identifying, you do the closing, you
Agency,
have your own attorney.
Yeah.
I think you're the agency.
all right.
Yeah.
And, all right, anybody else have any questions with this?
Do we have a new priority list done? That was kind of like the really important one from the last time that we discussed.
Priority.
Come up with a new priority
The only
list.
thing about the priorities is on whatever it is, if it's E or D or not, whatever the second and third tier are, there are properties with a lot of land on that. Why wouldn't they be bumped up? Is there something the matter with the land? I mean,
Well, we really have never really pulled apart what priorities are, because we do have a priority list, because those were properties that were in the acquisition stage. Okay, and
no. Like, on South Midway, that's not on the acquisition stage, the ones that's owned by the former McDonald property. But that's a big priority.
We should do this in executive session.
Yeah, sorry.
No, this is a public document.
Public document.
Oh,
Yes.
well.
The priority list is public.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just saying that, that it would be great to have that updated. I think I would do anything that we had purchased already, that was on the other one, the one prior to this, which is pretty old, clearly by now. But that was important, and then updating that map on the front page, I thought we could kind of.
Yeah, we had somebody do this for us, okay? And it came when we did our brochures, which we really needed to update this whole thing because our maps are really outdated as well. So we waited, and I wanted to do it all at the same time when we had different things in the works. We have one that's still outstanding at this particular time, so we haven't moved further with it. I can get you that, I can give you an updated priority list, I guess. I know I'm a little hesitant to do some of that. I mean, it is a public document, but a lot of times.
It is a requirement.
Yes, it being public.
Yeah, I know, but that we have a priority list, it's in the, we have to do it.
Right.
You can put stuff you really don't care about in there. Throw them off the scent.
All right, I will work on that. I will have it to you, okay?
You know, one thing I noticed looking through your red line version last night is, and I have to go back and look at that, I can't find it here. They were saying that some of the properties were studied or there was sort of, not studied, but, let me go back and I'll
You
email,
tell me something.
email and go home and CC everybody else.
I mean, and you also have to coordinate it with the county, because the count, like the white property, that acquisition was mentioned. I think the Rob property is on the
It's on
the acquisition.
Yes.
So, I mean, we have to coordinate with that as well, because that, they've identified the larger parcels.
Well, also, they've identified it, so it makes it easier for those acquisitions because it's already gotten to a certain phase of the county legislature.
Yes, and
Makes it-
which helps us serve our resources, because
County
we
list
can
is
team
pretty
with them.
long. You know,
Yeah,
the
it's
county
very
list is
long.
pretty long. We could use that, but it's a lot. What kind of priority is it if it has 100 things on it, you know, versus 20,
Well,
you know?
Going back to the usage of CPF land, Tim, did you tell me about a trailer on North Monantic? Or somebody said something to me about a trailer on North Monantic Preserve?
Yeah,
Oh, trailer?
yes.
Okay.
Somebody, that's my contacted me a week ago, that there was a boat trailer on the entrance to the North Monantic property on the side, and then I went there, took a picture, I sent it to you.
Right.
And then Ned, I reached out to Ned again to see if he knew any more about it. It belongs to the person next door, and they are trying to find somebody to help move the trailer, it's quite large, off the property onto their property.
The highway department can do it, they can charge them.
So, but yes.
Okay, maybe, Catherine, maybe one of the things we could do is maybe just send a note to the person we think owns the trailer, okay? to Move it, or maybe a license plate numbers on it?
I didn't look for that.
I'll take a look at it today, okay?
You won't miss it.
All right.
is it in the parking lot?
No,
It's
on the
right by the
green.
tennis court.
No.
right across from the
Where you have
tennis court.
And how does Ned get to even to his house? How does Ned get to his house?
No, it's off the road.
Oh, it's off-
on the,
Yeah. It's not.
it's on the green, okay?
I wonder, how did it, you
Such a
just,
nerve.
I was gonna say, you just park your trailer out there?
Okay,
Well, again, I think it's temporary. If it wasn't,
Okay.
the last thing that I should have had planned with this, we're ready to begin doing the parking on the white property, okay? And then we ran into an obstacle of trees, okay? So rather than cutting the trees down, the homeowners association granted us approval. BJ, this was sent on to Stephen Kiley. We just want to know where the town board, rather than just telling them to go ahead and the highway department to do it. Okay, I'm looking for the blessing of the town board that the highway department can cut. I'm just a little concerned about cutting, cut too much, too little. And I
Are they
don't,
marked,
no,
the ones for cutting?
no.
No.
We're not cutting down any trees. It's just trimming to be able to get the truck in Artist Lane, okay? And then there's one limb, I think, that probably on an oak tree that has to come, that will probably have to be trimmed out, okay? So, Brian was ready to get through this, and they said, wait, let's make sure we do this the correct way. So we sent me, but something was sent from our attorney to the town that we could proceed with this. Okay,
All right, I haven't seen it, but sure.
okay,
So this, just, if I went there, it's not clear, it's not gonna be clear to me what trees we're talking about.
sorry.
If I went there, it would not be clear what trees we're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's trimming these evergreens coming in. They're all low hanging.
Oh, okay.
And then there's an oak tree that's further down that has a limb that's pretty far down, okay? And if we come in with a large, even a fire truck would touch it. I mean, that's, so it's really a safety thing.
Tim, is there any reason that you don't trim at this time of year?
No, we're only trimming, that's all, but it's just the one oak tree that is concerned. To move on to the next thing, Green Expo. We have who's going to volunteer this year?
August what?
August 26th, just not sure of the location yet.
Oh,
I'm good for
Right.
okay. What,
I'm not saying Gates.
there we go.
On a party.
Passive use.
Wait a second, we need a permit though, then how much are we going to charge?
Has this been discussed in the town book? 'Cause
Actually, you don't need a permit if you're a town, you're a town,
Sponsored.
yeah, you're a green options committee, you're part of the
Right.
town, just like the rec department is part of the
But-
town. So they don't permit, we give a permit to the car show because they're not part of the town
Yeah.
government,
The craft fair.
yeah.
Um,
We do give a craft fair.
has there been a discussion about location? Because there was a discussion I had with the craft fair. That one idea, but then I was told the town might think another idea would be better, like Fisk Field versus behind the school. All right, I'll check in with,
Is there,
I haven't seen anything yet.
is an art show going to be in the back, the,
Well-
softball field back there?
that's what discussed with Jadlin. But then there was a further suggestion that maybe it should be at Fisk Field or someplace else.
So the green options on the 26th, the time again is from
11 to 3.
to 3,
11.
Yeah.
Yeah, we moved it up a couple of years ago because nobody came in town.
11 to 3. Okay, so we usually broke it up into 4 people. Chuck, you're in? Okay,
And this year, what I'm going to be doing is highly encouraging, and this is not intended for anybody here, but highly encouraging other committees to come and help set up, and nobody leaves until it's all broken down.
you looking at me like that?
No, I'm not looking at you. No, I'm not looking at you.
I helped you, buddy, so don't go start that.
I'm just, it's just something.
Are you going to be available on the
Well,
26th?
what do I have to do?
Nothing, you just man the booth.
Well, people ask you questions, don't they?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know the answer.
but you got, yep. Oh, about what?
I don't know. I remember people asking questions.
CPF, they're gonna ask you a question about CPF.
Oh, okay. I have 2 things earlier, but
You're going to be,
I should be here, yes.
I could do 2 to 3. How's that?
is it?
2 to 3.
Okay.
I should be available in the morning, I think.
Okay,
So Kathy's gonna break it down.
She's like,
Yeah,
and answer all
no,
the,
you're right, though, when everything, everybody just takes off and everybody, you're left with all the cleanup, okay? I have nothing else,
and you have stayed
thank you.
he's going to be there.
on the record.
Okay, I have nothing more on our agenda for today, okay? And anybody want to add anything, anybody wants anything they want to talk about, new information, whatever? If not, is there anybody in the public that's attending this meeting that has any words that they want to share? I don't know whether they heard me. I can't see anybody there.
Any questions from
Any
the,
questioning from the public?
Guess not.
Going,
Ron,
gone.
I have just a quick, and it's not a question. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has definitions.
Do you want to just go across just so we can see?
Building on what Kathy had said, the DEC has definitions for passive recreation
Right.
and also for community care. So there's definitions that are fairly inclusive, and you can expand them if you want to. You
Okay,
can't make them smaller, I don't think, under state law, but you can expand. You can add other things.
You were just a font.
Just
and,
like-
and there may be parcels that we don't want to use things on. That's the other part, okay? Just because we have preserved land doesn't mean we should have it all open, okay? If there are no questions from the public, okay, I'm going to make a motion to close this meeting. Okay, can I get a motion to accept? Okay.
To go into executive session?
I think we're going to not today, go into an executive session,
Okay.
okay.
okay?
I think the town board needs an update, no?
Oh, fine. Let's go into an executive session.
You have a couple of